First of all, I want to thank you all for meeting me here. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to be a part of this season of sharing from heart to heart things that we endure during the holidays. Thank you for showing up as I share with you about how to manage overwhelming emotions during the holidays without shutting down. Because as easy or as quiet as it's kept, a lot of people during this time are not cheery. And we say a lot of things, not necessarily senseless or not necessarily being not considerate, but we just think everybody's happy. And they're not. So I want to share with you how to manage overwhelming emotions during the holidays without shutting down. Because if you are in the throes of the holiday season, and pretty much we started almost like on Halloween, because we literally have become a 3 month major holiday sharing and celebrating country from Halloween, from Halloween to Thanksgiving to Christmas to New Year's, we're celebrating. And we can't get out of one holiday before we're into another. And they seem to just roll all in together. So it can be overwhelming and understandably so. So I want you to understand that if during this holiday season you're feeling emotionally overwhelmed, tearful, exhausted, and quietly shutting down, thinking no one's noticing, but deep inside, we almost want somebody to notice. We want somebody to know how much pain we might be enduring, how we are feeling. If that's you and you don't fully understand why you're feeling like this, you're at the right place. Because we often think we're the only ones, and that's not true, my friend. There are many people during this time that feel exactly like you. See, holidays don't create emotional pain. It's what you've been exposed to over the years that you just never healed from. We believe, or so we think, that as we move forward, that things just magically go away, and they don't. I like to tell the people I speak to that things that we ignore don't go away. They go into hiding and they show back up. So today I want you to understand that what's happening inside your emotions and how you move through them through this season without shutting down, how that is possible. We think that sometimes things just will always be, but we just need to put a little bit of effort, a little bit of work, and the comfort of knowing you're not the only one helps us to move from point A to point B to point C, all the way to healing. I want to say, first and foremost, with everything I've said thus far, there is absolutely, positively nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. You're experiencing something. It's like a choice of words, and we have to be careful with words because words have power. We sometimes say about ourselves, I'm angry. No, you're not an angry person. You're experiencing anger. You see the difference? You're experiencing something. So there's nothing wrong with you. You're experiencing something that regards you. That's a total different thing. Many people struggle during this holiday season. They feel ashamed because of it, because they're not happy like everybody else. And honestly, some people are overboard with it. Some people are just too happy. Now, stop some of that. And nobody's that happy all the time. What you taking, what medication you are to make you feel like that 24/7, so overly giddy, it doesn't even sound real. So there's nothing wrong with you. There might be somebody wrong with your office mate or your cubicle mate or someone even in your home, your housemate, if someone's that happy all the time, but there's nothing wrong with you. We experience things in our lifetime from time to time. It's okay. So once you understand that you don't necessarily need to be happy or happier or the happiest, but let's just be grateful that we're here. And let's just understand that we can understand what's going on with us. Emotions don't respond to pressure, they respond to truth. So let's understand what's going on with us. As it said, you should know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. So during these holidays, it's emotionally heavy because they slow down life. So you almost like it hits you in your face. So everything else kind of comes to a halt. Work slows down. Everybody's having holiday parties, and they want you to do the Secret Santa, and they want you to come to all the, not just the office parties, but everyone in the office is having a party. And you almost feel like you're obligated to go, and you feel guilty if you don't. And if you do go to one, do you have to go to all? It's a lot. Let's just be honest. It's a lot of pressure. But again, emotions don't respond to pressure. They respond to truth. Pressure just causes you to keep doing something you never intended to do for as long as you do. You just didn't know what to do about that. Emotions rise to the occasion, and the occasion causes it to rise to the surface. Memories, losses, family dynamics, unmet expectations, all of these things centered around or associated with holiday seasons causes those emotions to rise to the surface. An unresolved emotional trauma that has no closure makes the loudest noise in the most quieted settings. Let me say that again. Unresolved emotional trauma that has no closure makes the loudest noise in the quietest of settings because the soul is speaking to you about the pain. Because the soul is where everything we have been dealt with resides. The soul is the complexity of who we are, our emotions, our will, and our thoughts live in the soul. So we shut down. We, that's a lot. Even what I said so far is a lot when you wrap your head around it. So the emotions in the soul, as it reminds you what's going on, comes right up. It causes you to shut down. It's too much. It's overwhelming. And so when you feel overwhelmed, the nervous system looks for relief. And for some people, relief looks like withdrawal, numbness, silence, emotional distance. Just check it out. Just check it out. Just, get with me when it's 2026. I mean, right? It's too much. And everyone thinks a lot of us, and everyone expects us to respond what they call normal. Well, it may be normal for you, and what I'm experiencing is normal for me. So it's a lot. It's a lot of pressure for us to have to respond like everyone else. And then it's especially common for women, where we learn that early in life that with our emotions, and when they don't seem to line up with everybody else's, causes an inconvenience for not just us, because we want to act like everybody else, sort of, kind of, you know what I mean? But the expectation to act like everybody else is always there. Why aren't you happy? What's wrong? What did I do? What do you need? Did you take your medications? Did you get enough rest? Are you overworked? We always overwork. But all these questions, it may not be none of those things. I simply am not feeling like you are feeling during this time. And we're expected to just ignore our emotions. They become inconvenient. Some people try to ignore us. They want us to ignore them. And because it becomes an unsafe place to even express what's going on. So you talk about why we feel overwhelmed. That in and of itself, when we can't even express what's going on because people don't want to hear about it. I mean, really, let's just be honest. Let's just break this down, right? I always say, make it make sense. In fact, my husband says, if it don't make sense, it don't make dollars. And that in and of itself makes sense. If it don't make sense, it don't make dollars. And we say a lot of things throughout society. We coin these phrases, and it doesn't make sense. I tell people, make it make sense. Make it make sense, and I'll deal with it. But for me, just to be happy because you're happy and I'm not happy and something's wrong with me because of that, make that make sense. I'm not you and you're not me. So if I'm not happy and overly joyful and jubilant, there's nothing so wrong with me. I'm just experiencing something, and there's nothing wrong with you. You are experiencing something. And the interesting thing is that instead of people getting with us, they want us to get with them. And if you understand what I mean, put a thumbs up in the chat. They always want us to get on their side, you know, oh, just come on, just do it. Just be happy. Just pretend. We've been pretending so much all our life. A lot of our lives we pretend because we're expected to. No more. And if you believe that for yourself, say no more. Put it in the chat. No more. This is so specific to women. And our body's not betraying us. It is in communication. It's the communication because we can't tell anybody or people aren't interested enough to know what's gone, or we ourselves aren't that sure about it. We just know we're experiencing something. So it's in the communication because this is the thing. Overwhelm really means that it's not necessarily one emotion, it's unprocessed emotions arriving at the same time. Many unprocessed emotions arriving at the same time. Can you imagine? It's like a whole bunch of trains pulling into a station at once and there's not enough room for them. Somehow they didn't get the all clear sign or whatever it is that the train conductor to the people in the building and to the head station expecting these trains to come. Their signals got crossed or jammed or whatever it is that takes place. So you have all these trains pulling at once. Talk about chaos. That's what happens to our emotions. It's too many unprocessed emotions arriving at the same time. Think about that. That's a lot. Not one, not two, not three, because we probably can handle even three. A little bit of, sadness, a little bit of not feeling appreciated, and maybe also a little bit of feeling maybe abandoned. We might be able to handle those three if they aren't overly one magnifying the other. But take that also with feeling ill, headache, also feeling a sense of rejection, also feeling angry, also feeling that you are unhappy, dread, feeling that you're not appreciated, anxiety, loneliness, some grief, feeling resentment, all these things at the same time, they stack up. And when emotions are stored in the soul without release, they surface and they do a reflective seasons like Chris Doran reflective seasons of Christmas and New Year. And that's why people feel most of the year. And it's a lot. All year, we mask these emotions and these feelings. And during the holidays, when everybody is way over the top, in. Why? Because we think it's easier. And that's why people feel fine most of the year and unravel, almost like a pressure cooker. And the top is on, and all of a sudden that steam gets so hot, it reaches that boiling point. And if you open that lid, you better steer clear from that lid because it's going to go into an explosive amount of steam. And you become so unregulated. You can't even quiet what's going on within you. That's a dangerous point, people. Don't ever get there. Don't ever let yourself get to that point where you just totally unravel because you have the caution or the possibility of simply just splintering because it's overwhelming to you to have to deal with so much at once and with no ability to regulate it or no one to tell it to. So let's talk about some of the tools that help you manage this. Because that's what we need to have. We need to have some tools. Okay, great. You gave me all the nuts and bolts about this. So how can we manage some of this? One of the things I want you to decide you're going to do is I want you to name that. You're going to have to name some of this. You're going to have to, you just can't have the behavior that goes with it. The sadness, the loneliness, the anxiety, the not eating, no appetite, the exhaustion, or, and not exhaustion, but the opposite. Now you are unable to sleep, sleep deprived, and then we have anger, and then we have abandonment, we have rejection. We have all these things. You're gonna have to name what's going on. You have to name it. How do you feel right now? Because this is the thing, and I don't want to move from this point before I say that. Because if you don't heal it and refuse to name it, how can we deal with it? You can't deal with something you don't name. You can't heal something you don't name. You can't heal something you don't deal with. You can't heal something you won't name. And the reason why we can't name it because we won't take time to identify it. Because if we identify it, it may cause us to have a lot more pain than we actually are experiencing. But just it's a necessity. So even right now, I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose and slowly let it out through pursed lips. Let's do that again. Deep breath in, slow breath out, and once more, slow breath out. Someone say, ah. That's what life looks like within you and can be about you at all times. Just take a deep breath in, slow breaths out. Deep breaths in, slow breaths out when you feel overwhelmed. And I want you to do that when you are about to name that pain, because you have to do it. You got to identify what that is that you're feeling. I want you even right now to tell us why, excuse me, what you actually are feeling right this very minute. Tell us right this very moment what you are feeling. Put it in chat. Put it in the chat what you're feeling right now. I also want you, and while you're thinking about that, I want you also to put in the chat, have you ever felt like this before? So what are you feeling right now? Have you ever felt like this before? And if you say yes, there's something going on. Because typically, when we feel a certain way, if we can do something about it, we're going to. We're going to do something about it. No one's going to live with something they don't have to. No one's going to live with something they don't have to live with. So if you have ever felt like this before, we want to know why. Because you should be able to have dealt with that and put it to bed. We cannot have repetitious feelings of dread about something that we didn't deal with over and over and over again. That in and of itself will zap the very life out of you. And now that we did that, what's the memory associated with why you feel like that? Because if you feel like that right now, what is it about now that makes you feel like something you felt like before? Can you put that association together? What's the memory connected to that? Just take a little pause. Dun, 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 dun. Da 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 dun boom boom. Jeopardy. Anywho, um, but I want you to take a note of that. I want you to understand a couple of things as we look at what people have put in the chat. A lot of people have put sadness. Yes, they felt like this before. Someone's passed away. Someone put anger because when they were a child, they didn't get what they wanted. And even now, as an adult, they still don't seem to get the very things they always wanted. I appreciate you sharing that as an adult. Other people put on their money, finances. They find themselves here every year because basically we repeat the same behaviors, spending. And so we have that problem. Some people talk about holiday eating and always concerned about weight loss or weight gain and how the two go together. Once you gain weight, now you want to try to figure out how to lose it. So we go through a lot. So yes, we have repeated behaviors because we have repeated experiences. So we're learning how to deal with these things and how to be okay with them by first and foremost identifying what it is we're feeling, if we felt like this before, and what's an association to it. And I want you to understand that sadness doesn't mean you're ungrateful, and that grief doesn't mean that you're weak. Okay? Sadness doesn't mean that you're ungrateful because people will tell us these things. People are good at trying to tell us how we feel and why we feel like that. You ever notice that? Unsolicited advice. That's what I call it. Unsolicited advice. People are always trying to tell us why we feel the way we feel, why we do what we do. All these uncredentialed people of authority. But I want you to know that sadness doesn't mean you're ungrateful. And grief doesn't mean that you're weak. People like to tell us, just get over it. You don't get over grief of any kind. You go through it. Okay? You don't just get over grief. You go through grief. You have to acknowledge it, let it run its course. Unfortunately, sometimes we enter into complicated grief because we have compound things that take place in our lives because grief is not about the death or loss of a loved one. That's bereavement. Grief is the loss of anything near and dear to us that we find irreplaceable, and we can't get any closure about that loss. So it's not about being weak, and sadness is not about being grateful. So when you start naming things that you endure that causes some of these emotions, things become clear. And once you have clarity, it calms. I'm from New York, so my dialect may be a little bit different, but it calms the nervous system. Clarity calms the nervous system because you feel overwhelmed as a response to the nervous system trying to deal with all these emotions that flooded into you all at once, like several locomotives, motors or trains, let's just call them trains, coming into a train station and caused chaos. They came in all at once and the train station wasn't ready. You weren't ready. and it flooded you. So I want you to stop forcing, trying to feel joy. Just stop forcing it. And don't let people tell you you have to be joyful. I don't feel joyful, not going to be joyful, and I'm okay. You have to be okay with it. I'm not ill, I'm not sick, I'm not suicidal, not threat. Now, let's put a point there. Let's put a disclaimer. Some people during holiday season become very, 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 very depressed. That's a whole nother subject. And if you feel like you're totally depressed, so overwhelmed that you go into a state of depression and you shut down, and people can become what we call catatonic, where they have no movement. They're in one position. They don't eat. They don't sleep. They don't do anything. They become in a catatonic state. They are in a medically induced depression. Excuse me, not medically induced, forgive me, but their body shut down to a point that they have a medical condition where their body, as a point of actually protecting themselves, our body is very much wired to protect us, like selective amnesia is protecting you from things you just can't endure. And our bodies can go into a catatonic state where people just at the window staring at seemingly nothing, but they're locked inside a state of mind because of something that's just so overwhelming, their minds can't take it anymore. So depression is different, suicidal is different. So you want to be careful about some of those when if you ever feel like you're getting that bad. Yes, we need medical intervention. Tools not going to help you, but that's a whole other story. But I want you to understand that you don't have to feel totally joyful. Forced joy is emotionally exhausting, and peace is allowing honesty. If you aren't totally joyful and you don't have to pretend for others, then it gives you peace because you can be who you want to be. And that's being honest with who you are. So what about that part? Pretend you're being joyful and be exhausted because you have to go through the emotions, or don't be joyful, which brings you peace because you're being honest with yourself. And you know what? I feel better. Don't you feel better when you can be who you want to be and you don't want to be joyful, but you have peace because you don't have to pretend? That's okay. You are okay. You're allowed to feel neutral. You're allowed to feel, different. And different is a label they'll try to give you. So what do you care what they think? But you're feeling neutral. You're allowed to feel reflective of something that is not overly jubilant for you. You're allowed to feel quiet. You're allowed. I give you permission and give yourself permission. Be authentic. Be who you were called to be. Be who you need to be so that your authenticity can regulate your emotions. What becomes exhausting is when we have to pretend to be somebody else to be someone else for somebody else. Let me say that better. Authenticity regulates emotions. What's exhausting is when we have to pretend to be someone else for somebody else. That's what's exhausting. Not to mention, they're overly excited about something and they want you to be as excited as they are. That's a little exhausting too. Just being around people who are just overly giddy for something. I get it. Happy holidays, ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas. See the season. Jesus is the reason for the season. Season greetings. All those wonderful things. Feliz Navidad. Hey, be thank you. Appreciate it. Forgive me if I don't respond back or if I don't respond as you would like me to respond. Be you. Be authentic. It regulates your emotions. Tool number three, set your boundaries. And boundaries aren't rejection, they're protection. Set your boundaries. They're not rejection, they're boundaries. Don't cross this. This is in your mind, right? In your mind, you already have boundaries set. And it's a protection for you because people will cross them. People are very, excuse me, intrusive. People can be emotionally intrusive and they think they're okay. They think they're helping out. People always think they're helping. Again, unsolicited advice, unsolicited, help. If I need help, I'll ask for it. So people become intrusive. So set boundaries, already know what you're going to do. If you think the environment becomes too much, excuse yourself. Thank you so much for the invite. I've had a wonderful time, but I'm going to go ahead and leave now. Thank you so very much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. Leave early. You have to stay to the last one, to the lights, then flickering the lights because it's time to go, or the host is starting to clean up, or any of those things. Leave early. You came. That shows an appreciation of the invite. That shows an appreciation of the person who invited you. But leave early because time should be limited when it could cause you to be overwhelmed. Be okay saying no without explaining. No means no. Can you come? Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you for the invitation. I won't be able to make it. And then people want to ask why. You don't get to ask why. Or if you do ask why, you don't get a response. If you're bold enough to ask why, then we have to be just as equally bold enough to not answer. We don't owe people an explanation about everything of our lives. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm learning that myself. People like to ask a lot of other again, solicited questions when this is not a need to know thing. Where do you fall in my list of people? And you are one of the ones that has a need to know, you know, um, need. There's a word I was looking for, but need to know. You don't have that clearance. And you're not a need to know person. I'm just unable to make it. Don't explain. You don't have to explain. You don't owe them anything. Create your own space for emotional recovery. If you went, you stayed 30 minutes, you showed your face. Create time now to go home, relax, recoup, do a warm and fuzzy. I like warm and fuzzy movies, things that are very, very jubilant, but they're also mind numbing, meaning you don't have to engage in it. You can just sit there and be entertained without people asking you how you're feeling. Why aren't you laughing? You know, why aren't you smiling? Why? And why do you want to know? That's the why that's going on in our heads, right? So if you're not required to sacrifice your emotional health for tradition, you're not. Did you hear what I said? You are not required to sacrifice your emotional health for tradition. It's not a requirement of you, and it can't make it be a requirement of you. Let me give you this last tool, and we're going to wrap this up. Regulate the body first. Regulate the body first because your emotions follow the body. Your emotions dictate to the body the response. Your emotions is how you're feeling. The environment triggers emotions, how you feel about what's going on in the environment. And the feelings will trigger the body response or the behaviors. Understand that? So when we talk about fight or flight or flee, there's three now. Fight, flight, or freeze. Flight, fight, or freeze. That's a response to an emotion about how you're feeling about something in the environment. Because our feelings come from external environments, just like fear. We have fears of a lot of things, but there's only two fears that we're actually born with. And that's the fear of falling. That's why it's natural for us to try to suppress a fall of any type. We try to catch ourselves. It's an instinct. And the other fear is the fear of loud noises. That's why it's an instinct to grab our ears or to jump. Planes taking off unexpected, a firecracker, gunshot, loud noise on TV, a loud noise in the home. Everything else is an external environmental fear that we adopted to for some reason. So regulate the body first. Slow, deep breathing, just what I was showing you earlier. Deep breath in through the nose, small breaths out, pursed lips repeatedly. And do a cyclic. Do about 5. Now I'm doing quite a bit right now. I'm doing kind of fast because I'm doing it for the reason of explaining. But do a cyclic, meaning you don't have to do them all at once, but do them throughout the hour or 2 hours. Do it if you need to. Take a walk outside. Connect yourself to being outdoors. Get away of feeling closed in. Sometimes being closed in with a lot of noise, a lot of chatter, a lot of laughter, a lot of merriment, and all of that. Just step outdoors. Step outside. Hopefully the it's not inclement weather. And if so, do it anyway. Something we have to do anyway because it's a matter of your health. You are regulating your body because you're trying to regulate your emotions. And then sometimes just sitting quietly. Find a quiet area. Let me give you a little tip on that. The most quietest place you can go during a crowd of people in a stranger's home is where? Yeah, the bathroom. Exactly. Lock the door. Make sure you lock the door. People don't knock. Lock the door and just sit in there for a minute. Just sit in there, collect yourself. Do what it takes to be okay. And then, of course, pray, pray, reflect, find a connecting mindset point of within you that reconnects you to calmness, to peace through prayer or reflection. Reflection is something that causes you to have a happy moment, our merry time. It brings a smile to your face, relaxes and slows your breathing, slows the anxiety, slows the pressure you start feeling. Because all these things, when our body starts becoming emotionally unregulated, a lot of things go on within our nervous system, within our systems. Our body is one huge system of organs, and our organs, systems connect one to another. For instance, when we start feeling anxious within our minds, it's regulated to our circulatory systems, and our blood pressure goes up, regulated to our respiratory system, and we start breathing faster, associated and connected to our digestive system, and we have stomach, either gets, we call it stomach diarrhea. Sometimes we just get stomach cramping or pain, or we can't eat, we can't sleep. All these things because our organs and our systems are connected one to another. So you got to be able to calm your body. And when the body calms, the emotions can re-regulate. They can organize themselves. They can be calmed. And then overly and ultimately try to reframe the season. Start seeing it as doom and gloom. Find something to create a different moment, a different association of happiness and peace for you. Sometimes we have to create our own set of seasonal joy, not the status quo. Whatever it means to you, you do that. Whatever it means to you, you do that. Be creative, but be you. Be authentic. Be you. Validate you. Reframe the season. Excuse me. Be honest with yourself. If it's not about being with a whole bunch of people, don't be. Don't be. Be with one or two. Do a test run at your home of a season. Just have a couple of people over, pizza and wings, eggnog with nothing mixed in it. I mean, I don't know. But reframe the season. Reframe it. Maybe you want to join a book club during that season. It could be anything. And we can just because this is the thing, and I want to end with this. When a wounded soul doesn't need criticism, it needs care. A wounded soul doesn't need criticism. A wounded soul needs care, someone who cares, someone who understands. And when people don't take the time to understand, they criticize. People are quick to judge something they have no clue about what's happening. And they say all kinds of things because it makes them feel like, again, unsolicited advice from a non-credentialed person who just feels that, oh, this is what's going on. Let me tell you what's going on with you. They took all of 5, 10 minutes and came up with that. Oh, well. But a wounded soul doesn't need criticism. It needs care. Someone who understands. Someone who will let you be you as you validate you, as you become authentic within yourself, as you bring peace to your soul. You're trying to take care of you. At the end of the day, you are all you have, right? You are all you have. So I want you to realize you're not broken. You responded to something that's unresolved. And unresolved means it's not yet healed. Not yet healed. Not unhealable. It's a difference. I say it again. You're not, this is your takeaway. You're not broken. You're responding to something that's unresolved. And unresolved doesn't mean it's unhealable. It simply is not healed yet. Because I want you to always remember real people hurt, but real people heal. So if this message in any way, shape, or form resonated with you, it's time to stop and start managing those emotions. It's time to begin healing. And let's heal them at the root. Let's find out what the association is that triggers them. I help women identify unresolved emotional wounds and I help them safely process them. It's not overwhelming. It's not a big leap from A to Z. We don't try to stuff it all in one, talk or gathering. Safely process. I create emotional stability, and not just during the holidays, but for everyday living. And if you think you're ready for clarity, for peace, and emotional alignment, you'll find a link below about my emotional healing work. And I'd love to see you feeling the best you can be. I'll show you the path, the plan, and the destination to get you to where you want to be. Happy holidays.